The Great Pyramid, mostly that's the one that's been studied. We actually haven't done a whole lot of studying on the other pyramids. It's something that's severely lacking. In fact, we've not even cleared off the bases of some of the other pyramids up at Giza. It's crazy.
So you can understand why people start to question the historical narrative.
The reality of them is probably stranger and more interesting than anything people can think up in terms of fiction.
For centuries, we've believed that the ancient Egyptians were the masterminds behind this architectural marvel. But what if they weren't? What if instead, they simply moved into these colossal structures? Join us as we explore groundbreaking theories, unravel new discoveries, and challenge everything we thought we knew about one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world.
I'm willing to accept that the Great Pyramid was largely completed by the ancient Egyptians.
The Great Pyramid of Giza, built during the 4th dynasty of Egypt for Pharaoh Khufu around 2580 to 2560 BC, has long captured the imagination of people worldwide. The discovery of its entrance and the subsequent exploration of its interior chambers have significantly deepened our understanding of ancient Egyptian architecture and burial practices. For centuries, the entrance to this monumental structure was a mystery. Originally, the pyramid was encased in smooth Tura limestone, which concealed any openings. By the time explorers began their quest, most of this casing had been stripped away, revealing the underlying structure.
The Great Pyramid was sealed. It was a sealed monument.
The first recorded discovery of the entrance dates back to 820 AD when the Caliph al-Mamun ordered an expedition to uncover the pyramid's secrets.
The Caliph al-Mamun, who was running Egypt at the time, wanted to get inside the Great Pyramid.
His workers supposedly found the hidden entrance after hearing a stone fall within the pyramid. They located the entrance about 17 meters above the ground on the northern face, slightly to the east of the central axis. This discovery led them to a descending passageway. From the entrance, the descending passageway measures about 1.2 meters high and 3.5 wide, sloping downwards at an angle of approximately 26 degrees.
Is there not a hidden chamber as well?
In fact, there is a whole underworld at Giza. This is beginning to be recognized.
This passage extends for about 105 meters into the pyramid, eventually reaching the subterranean chamber, also known as the pit. This chamber lies beneath the pyramid, carved into the bedrock, and is unfinished, roughly hewn, and not fully smoothed out like other parts of the pyramid. Measuring approximately 27 by 14 meters and about 8.6 meters high at its highest point, the chamber's purpose remains unclear.
We actually don't know what these chambers were for. No burial of any pharaoh was ever found inside the Great Pyramid.
Some theories suggest it was an early attempt at a burial chamber or simply an unfinished part of the construction. Halfway along the descending passageway, an ascending passageway branches off upwards. Similar in dimensions to the descending passageway, it extends for about 39 meters before reaching the Grand Gallery. The entrance to the ascending passageway was originally concealed by a stone block, adding an extra level of security. The Grand Gallery is one of the pyramid's most impressive features. It is a steeply inclined corridor, measuring about 46.6 meters in length, 8.6 meters in height, and 2.1 meters in width at the base, narrowing slightly towards the top. The walls of the Grand Gallery are lined with precisely cut stones, and the ceiling consists of corbelled stone blocks, creating a vaulted appearance. The floor has a series of slots, possibly for the placement of beams or to aid in the transportation of heavy objects. Approximately halfway along the Grand Gallery, a horizontal passageway leads to the so-called Queen's Chamber. This chamber is smaller than the King's Chamber, measuring about 5 3/4 meters by 5 1/4 meters, with a height of 6 1/4 meters. The walls are smooth and the ceiling is pointed, forming a gabled roof. The exact purpose of the Queen's Chamber is still debated. It might have been intended as a secondary burial chamber or a symbolic chamber for the pharaoh's spirit. Continuing up the Grand Gallery, a horizontal passage leads to the King's Chamber, the most important room in the pyramid. The King's Chamber is rectangular, measuring about 1.5 by 5.2 meters, and has a flat roof composed of massive granite beams. The chamber's walls are also lined with granite, and the floor consists of large granite blocks. Inside the King's Chamber is a large granite sarcophagus, believed to have held Khufu's body. The sarcophagus is too large to have been brought in through the existing passages, indicating it was placed during the construction of the pyramid. Above the king's chamber are 5 relieving chambers, designed to distribute the weight of the pyramid and prevent the roof of the king's chamber from collapsing. These chambers are separated by large horizontal slabs of granite, each layer relieving some of the weight above. In recent times, advanced technologies like ground-penetrating radar and Moon tomography have been employed to explore the pyramid further. These methods have led to the discovery of previously unknown voids and chambers, such as the Scan Pyramid's Big Void, a large empty space above the Grand Gallery discovered in 2017. The purpose of this void remains a mystery and continues to be a topic of ongoing research and speculation. The area surrounding the Great Pyramid of Giza, also known as Khufu's Pyramid, has been a treasure trove of archaeological discoveries.
I think there's a lot more remains to be discovered under the Giza Plateau.
Yeah.
These finds offer remarkable insights into ancient Egyptian civilization, their burial practices, religious beliefs, and daily life. One of the most intriguing discoveries is the solar boat pits, unearthed in 1954 by Egyptian archaeologist Kamal El-Malak. These pits contain 2 intact boats buried near the Great Pyramid, positioned on the southern side. Known as solar barks, these boats were believed to serve a dual purpose. They were intended for Khufu's journey with the sun god Ra across the sky during the day and through the underworld at night. Another theory suggests they might have been used in the funerary procession of the pharaoh. The boats are made of Lebanese cedar wood, meticulously assembled without nails. The larger boat measures about 43.6 meters in length and features a sophisticated design with a cabin, oars, and rope bindings, using a technique known as mortise and tenon. The first boat was painstakingly reconstructed over 14 years by Egyptian conservator Ahmed Youssef Mustafa and is now displayed in the Khufu Boat Museum beside the Great Pyramid. The second boat remains in situ, awaiting advanced preservation techniques. In the early 1990s, Egyptian archaeologist Zahi Hawass and his team made a groundbreaking discovery southeast of the Great Pyramid, the tombs of the workers who built the pyramids. The tombs provided evidence that the builders were paid laborers who worked in 3-month rotating shifts, reflecting the societal structure and economy of the Old Kingdom. The tombs contained skeletal remains showing signs of healed injuries, indicating that workers had access to medical care. Pottery shards, tools, and remnants of food supplies such as bread and beer were also found, shedding light on their diet and daily life. The presence of beef and fish bones suggests that the workers received good nutrition. The tombs were simple, yet carefully constructed from mud brick and limestone, indicating a level of respect for the workers. Some tombs had hieroglyphic inscriptions and modest grave goods, signifying the workers' social status and the reverence afforded to them. Another significant discovery was made in 1925 by American archaeologist George Reisner when he uncovered the mastaba of Queen Hetepheres I, the mother of Khufu, in the Giza necropolis. Located to the northeast of the Great Pyramid, the tomb was initially hidden under debris. The tomb contained a large cache of funerary equipment, including a golden throne, a gilded bed with a canopy, chairs, a palanquin, and various personal items such as jewelry and cosmetic boxes. The craftsmanship of these items highlights the luxurious lifestyle of the royal family and the high level of artisanship of the period. Interestingly, Hetepheres' body was never found, leading to theories that her mummy might have been relocated or never placed in the tomb. Some suggest the burial equipment might have been prepared in anticipation of her death, but used for another purpose. The remains of Khufu's pyramid temple have been uncovered through various excavations conducted over the years, with significant contributions from archaeologists such as Mark Lehner and Zahi Hawass. The pyramid temple was a site for offerings and rituals to honor the deceased pharaoh Khufu. It played a central role in the funerary cult, where daily rituals and ceremonies ensured the pharaoh's immortality. The temple's remains include large limestone blocks, column bases, and fragments of statues and altars. The temple layout typically featured a courtyard, a hypostyle hall, and sanctuaries. The temple was connected to the pyramid by a causeway, which was used for processional purposes. Various small artifacts, including inscribed blocks, offering tables, and fragments of statues have been found. These artifacts shed light on the religious practices of the time, the artistic styles, and the materials used. Notably, fragments of a life-size statue of Khufu have been uncovered, providing insights into the pharaoh's appearance and royal iconography. The tomb of Khentkaus III, discovered by archaeologists in the early 20th century, is also referred to as the Fourth Pyramid due to its unique design. Located to the southeast of the Great Pyramid, within the Giza necropolis, the tomb features a unique design that combines elements of both a pyramid and a mastaba. It includes a stepped pyramid base with a superstructure that might have been intended as a pyramid but was left unfinished. The discovery of Cleopatra's tomb is undeniably one of the most thrilling and mysterious achievements in archaeology. Cleopatra VII, the final ruler of the Ptolemaic Kingdom of Egypt, has fascinated people for centuries with her intelligence, political shrewdness, and her famous romances with Roman leaders Julius Caesar and Mark Antony. For ages, the location of her final resting place remained one of history's most elusive mysteries. The breakthrough in the search for Cleopatra's tomb emerged in the early 21st century. This incredible discovery was driven by Dr. Zahi Hawass, Egypt's former Minister of Antiquities, and Kathleen Martinez, a Dominican lawyer turned self-taught archaeologist with a deep passion for Cleopatra. Martinez, fueled by her admiration for Cleopatra and her extensive research of ancient texts, posited that Cleopatra and Mark Antony were buried in the temple of Taposiris Magna, near the ancient city of Alexandria. Martinez's theory was rooted in a detailed analysis of historical accounts by Plutarch and Cassius Dio, suggesting Cleopatra might have been buried in a temple dedicated to the goddess Isis. This idea contrasted with the prevailing belief that Cleopatra was interred within Alexandria itself. In 2005, Martinez obtained permission from the Egyptian authorities to commence excavations at Taposiris Magna. The excavation at Taposiris Magna was challenging. The site, located on the edge of the Libyan desert, posed significant difficulties due to its unstable structures and the complex layers of archaeological deposits. Over several years, the team uncovered notable artifacts, including coins with Cleopatra's likeness, statues, and inscriptions, all supporting the hypothesis that the site was connected to Cleopatra. A particularly intriguing aspect of this discovery was the mysterious and seemingly serendipitous nature of many findings. Key discoveries often coincided with unusual weather events like sudden sandstorms and unexpected rains, almost as if guiding the archaeologists to crucial areas. Some team members reported vivid dreams and visions of ancient rituals, which they interpreted as spiritual guidance. An especially fascinating discovery was a large, unfinished tunnel beneath the temple, leading to a series of chambers. This tunnel, carved with precise craftsmanship, suggested that the burial complex was intended for someone of extraordinary significance, possibly Cleopatra herself. Inside these chambers, the team found a hidden room containing a collection of golden artifacts and inscriptions referring to a Queen of Kings, a title often linked to Cleopatra. The initial announcement of the discovery of Cleopatra's tomb attracted immense media attention and widespread public interest. Press conferences were held, documentaries were produced, and the artifacts were meticulously catalogued and preserved. Many of these artifacts, including statues, jewelry, and coins, were exhibited in museums worldwide, drawing millions of visitors eager to learn more about Cleopatra and her era. Following the discovery, Taposiris Magna became a focal point for ongoing archaeological research. Scholars and historians collaborated to further investigate the surrounding area, uncovering additional structures and artifacts that offered more insights into the Ptolemaic period. The discovery also led to a re-evaluation of other potential burial sites across Egypt, prompting new excavations and yielding fresh historical data. The site itself transformed into a popular tourist destination, significantly boosting the local economy and fostering a deeper appreciation for Egypt's rich cultural heritage. Educational programs and public lectures spread the knowledge gained from the discovery, inspiring a new generation of archaeologists and historians. Cleopatra's tomb holds a treasure trove of unique and fascinating facts that shed light on her life and reign. One of the most remarkable aspects of Cleopatra was her linguistic prowess. She was fluent in several languages, including Egyptian, Greek, Latin, and possibly others, which allowed her to communicate effectively with various cultures and political leaders. This multilingual ability was a significant asset in her diplomatic engagements and helped her maintain strong political ties. Cleopatra's reign was characterized by a remarkable blend of Egyptian and Hellenistic cultures. She embraced Egyptian customs and religious practices, presenting herself as the reincarnation of the goddess Isis, while also maintaining strong connections to her Greek heritage. This cultural syncretism was reflected in the art, architecture, and religious ceremonies of her time, creating a unique and vibrant cultural landscape. The tomb at Taposiris Magna, believed to be Cleopatra's final resting place, is a testament to her architectural vision. The complex features intricate carvings, hidden chambers, and sophisticated tunnels, highlighting the advanced engineering and architectural skills of the period. The tomb's design and construction reflect the grandeur and sophistication that Cleopatra likely envisioned for her eternal abode. The artifacts discovered within the tomb are rich with symbolism. Golden jewelry, statues, and inscriptions reflect Cleopatra's royal status, religious beliefs, and political ambitions. These artifacts offer a glimpse into her life, her reign, and her desire to be remembered as a divine ruler. The symbols and inscriptions provide valuable insights into how Cleopatra viewed herself and how she wanted to be perceived by future generations. The discovery of hidden chambers and tunnels within the tomb complex suggests that Cleopatra may have taken great care to ensure the security and sanctity of her final resting place. These hidden features indicate a sophisticated understanding of architecture and a deep respect for the afterlife. The hidden chambers and tunnels add an element of mystery and intrigue to the tomb, highlighting the lengths to which Cleopatra went to protect her legacy. The tomb complex at Taposiris Magna is extensive, featuring a series of interconnected chambers and tunnels. The main burial chamber, believed to be the final resting place of Cleopatra, is adorned with intricate carvings and decorated with golden artifacts. The size of the tomb and its elaborate design indicate that it was intended for a person of significant importance, supporting the theory that it belongs to Cleopatra. Among the artifacts discovered were numerous statues, some depicting Cleopatra herself, others representing Egyptian gods and goddesses. The team also found a wealth of golden jewelry, including necklaces, bracelets, and rings, many of which are inscribed with hieroglyphs and symbols associated with royalty and divinity. Additionally, coins bearing Cleopatra's likeness and inscriptions were uncovered, further supporting the identification of the tomb. These artifacts not only highlight Cleopatra's royal status, but also provide a tangible connection to the historical figure, enriching our understanding of her life and reign. One of the most enduring mysteries surrounding Cleopatra is the exact circumstances of her passing. The traditional account suggests that she took herself by allowing an asp, a venomous snake, to bite her. However, some scholars propose alternative theories. Another intriguing theory is that Cleopatra's relationship with Rome was more complex than commonly portrayed. Some historians believe that her alliances with Julius Caesar and later with Mark Antony were part of a broader strategy to create a unified Greco-Roman Egyptian empire, with Alexandria as its capital. This theory suggests that Cleopatra's ambitions extended beyond Egypt, envisioning a new world order centered around her rule. The discovery of Cleopatra's tomb has also sparked speculation about a potential curse associated with disturbing her final resting place. Similar to the curse of Tutankhamun's tomb, some believe that those who enter Cleopatra's tomb may face misfortune or supernatural retribution. While there is no concrete evidence to support this theory, it adds an element of mystery and intrigue to the discovery. One of the most mysterious coincidences related to the discovery of Cleopatra's tomb is the alignment of astrological events. Researchers noted that significant breakthroughs in the excavation process often coincided with notable celestial events, such as eclipses and planetary conjunctions. Some believe that these alignments were not mere coincidences, but rather signs of divine intervention or ancient knowledge encoded in the tomb's design. Several members of the excavation team reported experiencing intuitive insights and inexplicable hunches that guided their efforts. These insights often led to significant discoveries, such as the location of hidden chambers or the interpretation of cryptic inscriptions. While these experiences cannot be scientifically explained, they add a layer of mystery to the discovery process. Cleopatra's legacy also includes her efforts to position herself as a divine ruler. She was closely associated with the goddess Isis and often depicted herself as the goddess's earthly embodiment. This association was part of her strategy to legitimize her rule and strengthen her connection with the Egyptian people. The artifacts found in her tomb, including statues and inscriptions depicting her as Isis, underscore this aspect of her reign.
In July 2018, local workers digging for a new building struck something unmovable. Archaeologists were summoned, and as they brushed away centuries of sand and debris, they uncovered something unlike anything seen before. The sarcophagus was immense, featureless, and chillingly silent. Nearby, a weathered alabaster head was found, its features eroded into ghostly anonymity. Experts dated the site to the early Ptolemaic period, shortly after the death of Alexander the Great, and speculation exploded. Could this be the final resting place of the conqueror himself? Or perhaps a noble of great importance, lost to the ravages of time? The unbroken mortar seal around the lid suggested something extraordinary. The sarcophagus had never been opened. In a land where tomb raiders had plundered countless graves, this one remained a pristine mystery. Yet with excitement came unease. Whispers of a curse began to spread, fueled by memories of the legends surrounding Tutankhamun's tomb. Ancient tombs, after all, were often protected in death by dire warnings. Could opening this sarcophagus unleash an ancient terror? News of the find raced across the globe. Headlines blared warnings, and social media buzzed with dark humor and genuine concern. Some urged the team to leave it untouched, warning that the world had enough troubles without awakening a millennia-old curse. Egyptian authorities assured the public there was no cause for fear, but behind their reassurances, meticulous precautions were taken. Engineers, archaeologists, and military officials devised a careful plan to lift the massive lid without damaging the precious contents or disturbing something better left buried. The world watched breathlessly as the crane's straps tightened around the lid. Under the searing Alexandria sun, the granite cover groaned and shifted, millimeter by millimeter, until at last a gap appeared. From the darkness within, a wave of putrid air burst forth, so foul that seasoned archaeologists staggered back, retching. It was the stench of death, thick, noxious, and ancient. When the air cleared enough to see, flashlights revealed a grotesque sight. Instead of gleaming treasures or an immaculate royal mummy, there was only sludge, dark, fetid water mixed with disintegrating human remains. 3 skeletons lay jumbled within the murky, blood-red fluid. The sarcophagus, it turned out, had cracked over the centuries, allowing sewage to seep in and stew the contents into a macabre soup. Bones floated eerily in the reddish muck. Skulls, ribs, femurs, fragments of lives long past. There was no gold, no inscription, no signs of royalty. Just 3 nameless souls, now caught forever in a grim tableau. It was not the discovery many had hoped for, but it was far from a disappointment. Even in their anonymous state, the dead had a story to tell. Relieved that no supernatural force had been unleashed, the team carefully drained the sarcophagus and removed the remains for analysis. Joking to the press, Mustafa Waziri, Secretary General of Egypt's Supreme Council of Antiquities, quipped, "We opened it, and thank God we have not been cursed." His words were met with laughter and applause, but the mystery was far from solved. Initial studies revealed tantalizing clues. 2 of the skeletons appeared to be adult males. The third was a woman. One skull showed signs of a traumatic injury, possibly an arrow wound. These details hinted at lives entwined with violence, struggle, perhaps even tragedy. Despite the grandeur of their coffin, they were likely not royalty, but rather soldiers or prominent citizens of Alexandria's sprawling, bustling society. As conservators sifted through the muck, they discovered something unexpected. 3 small sheets of gold. Each bore faint, incised drawings, delicate symbols whose meaning remains under study. Perhaps these were protective charms, meant to guide the spirits of the dead through the treacherous corridors of the afterlife. small though they were, they hinted at a ritual significance to the burial, a quiet reverence for the journey beyond death. The absence of treasure only deepened the sarcophagus's allure. Its starkness spoke of a different kind of wealth, not of material riches, but of mystery and human drama. Why had these three individuals been buried together in such an enormous coffin? Why no inscriptions, no grand adornments? Was the sarcophagus reused, or did its creators intend it as a shared tomb from the beginning? Theories abound. Perhaps the sarcophagus was intended for a noble, repurposed when fate intervened. Perhaps it belonged to a family of soldiers who earned a hero's burial, though history forgot their names. Or maybe it was simply the work of those who sought to honor the dead with whatever grandeur they could afford. Whatever the truth, it remains locked in the bones, waiting for science to pry loose the final pieces of the puzzle.
The Nibiru cataclysm theory posits the existence of a rogue planet, Nibiru, which supposedly passes through our solar system with an elongated orbit, causing gravitational upheavals and potentially catastrophic events on Earth every 3,600 years. This theory, largely based on interpretations of ancient texts, emphasizes a single extraterrestrial trigger for apocalyptic events. In contrast, Randall Carlson's theory is grounded in geological and astronomical evidence, suggesting that Earth has undergone periodic cataclysmic events due to a variety of natural causes, including comet impacts, volcanic eruptions, and ice age cycles.
One of the scenarios would certainly suggest that there were extreme climate changes.
Carlson, a self-taught geologist and scholar of ancient mythology, argues that these repeating cataclysms have shaped human history and the Earth's geology over millennia. While the Nibiru theory focuses on a specific, externally driven cataclysm linked to ancient myths, is there a possible hidden connection between Earth's cataclysms and Nibiru in space?
There had to be something we needed to look at that triggered the extreme climate changes that we do see.
The term Nibiru is deeply embedded in Sumerian and Babylonian mythology. It's a name that not only evokes the mysteries of the stars, but also connects us to the divine beliefs and astronomical prowess of ancient Mesopotamian cultures.
So when we're looking back at Sumer, those are the people that are sort of reinventing and relearning.
Well, part of our modern psychology is to imagine that we are somehow so far advanced.
Nibiru is linked to the god Marduk, a central figure in the Babylonian pantheon. Marduk represents the meeting point of power, divinity, and cosmic order, highlighting Nibiru's immense significance in religious texts and its crucial role in the astronomical and calendrical systems of that era. When it comes to the astronomical significance of Nibiru, the Babylonians held it in high esteem. Nibiru was considered the highest point of the ecliptic, marking the summer solstice's position. This wasn't just an arbitrary point in the sky, it was vital for their calendrical system, influencing agricultural practices and religious ceremonies. The tracking of Nibiru and its association with specific constellations underscored its importance for ancient astronomers. These scholars of the sky leveraged their knowledge of Nibiru's path to guide agricultural cycles, plan religious festivals, and interpret omens, integrating celestial observations into the fabric of their daily lives. Drawing parallels between civilizations, Nibiru in Mesopotamian mythology and the Greek star Phaethon offers a fascinating glimpse into the universal human endeavor to make sense of the cosmos. Phaethon, the Shining One linked to the sun god Helios, was said to drive the sun's chariot across the sky. This myth, much like the significance of Nibiru to the Mesopotamians, illustrates the critical role celestial bodies played in shaping the ancient world's understanding of time, space. Both Nibiru and Phaethon's stories reflect a deep-seated belief in the power of celestial entities to influence or even dictate the fundamental rhythms of earthly existence. Zecharia Sitchin's The 12th Planet, published in 1976, kicked off a series of books that weave together ancient mythology, astronomy, and the notion of extraterrestrial life into a narrative that's as fascinating as it is controversial. Sitchin introduced the world to the idea of Nibiru, a mysterious, yet-to-be-discovered planet with a wildly elliptical orbit taking it deep into the cosmos, far beyond Neptune every 3,600 years. But where did such an out-of-this-world theory come from? Sitchin's answer: ancient Sumerian cuneiform tablets, which he interpreted as chronicling the existence of this 12th celestial body in our solar system, if you also count the sun and moon. At the heart of Sitchin's theory lies the Anunnaki, a race of advanced beings from Nibiru, who supposedly visited Earth about 450,000 years ago. Sitchin's narrative doesn't just place these extraterrestrials on Earth, it credits them with genetically engineering early humans to create modern Homo sapiens for the purpose of mining gold needed on their home planet. It's a tale that marries the genesis of human civilization with cosmic visitors, suggesting that the advanced astronomical knowledge of the Sumerians, including their awareness of Nibiru's orbit, was a gift from these otherworldly ancestors. Sitchin's proposal of Nibiru's 3,600-year orbit stems from his unique interpretation of the Sumerian numeral system and their concept of a great year. Despite the lack of concrete evidence from mainstream science to back up Nibiru's existence or its effect on our planet, the idea has captured the imagination of many. It's even sparked theories linking Nibiru to mass extinction events on Earth, with some suggesting that its gravitational pull might fling comets and asteroids towards Earth, triggering catastrophic events.
What we certainly do see here is a clustering right around 13,000 years ago. That looks pretty evident to me.
Sitchin's work draws an interesting parallel to the theories of Immanuel Velikovsky, especially those laid out in his 1950s book, Worlds in Collision. Like Sitchin, Velikovsky turned to ancient texts, interpreting them as accounts of catastrophic astronomical events that reshaped early human history and mythology. However, Velikovsky focused on collisions within our inner solar system, while Sitchin took the narrative further into space, introducing an extraterrestrial dimension with the Anunnaki and their distant unseen home planet, Nibiru. Both theories, while outside mainstream scientific consensus, offer a tantalizing glimpse into the possibility that ancient myths might hold more truth about our universe and origins than we've traditionally believed.
So here we got mythology, and here we have scientific evidence that Earth was blasted.
As the Mayan long count calendar ticked down to its final days in December 2012, the world was abuzz with talk of apocalyptic predictions. Central to the frenzy was the mysterious planet Nibiru, a rogue celestial body rumored to be on a collision course with Earth. This blend of ancient prophecy, modern-day conspiracy, and astronomical speculation had people everywhere wondering if we were on the brink of cataclysmic destruction. The idea was that Nibiru, invisible to astronomers yet somehow detected by those in the know, would either smash into Earth or come close enough to wreak havoc through its gravitational pull. NASA, stepping into the fray, did something quite unexpected for a scientific organization. It directly addressed these doomsday predictions. The space agency was clear. There was no evidence of Nibiru, nor any celestial threat looming on the horizon. If a planet were barreling towards us, it would have been spotted by countless eyes scanning the skies, both professional and amateur. NASA's extensive sky surveys, including those by the Wide-Field Infrared Survey Explorer, had turned up nothing that could be the mythical Nibiru. Enter Randall Carlson, a self-taught geologist with a penchant for catastrophism. Carlson has delved deep into Earth's geological record, uncovering evidence of repeated cataclysmic events that have dramatically reshaped our planet. From rapid climate shifts to massive floods and comet impacts, his research paints a picture of Earth's tumultuous history and its impact on human civilization. This is where things get interesting. Could a hypothetical Nibiru fit into this pattern of cataclysms? Some might speculate that if Nibiru existed, its elongated orbit could coincide with these catastrophic periods, possibly acting as a gravitational catalyst for comet showers or other disruptive events. The broader scientific community, however, frames these cataclysms within the context of natural Earth processes and known astronomical phenomena. Events like asteroid impacts, supervolcanic eruptions, and ice age cycles are recognized as part of Earth's dynamic history, but are attributed to natural causes rather than the influence of an unseen planet. The dialogue between speculative theories like Nibiru and the scientific exploration of Earth's cataclysmic past, as undertaken by researchers like Carlson, underscores our fascination with cosmic disasters. It reflects a deep-seated curiosity about the forces that have shaped and continue to influence our planet. While one path ventures into the realm of myth and pseudoscience, The other seeks to unravel the mysteries of our world through the rigorous lens of geology and astronomy. Together, they highlight our ongoing quest to understand the cataclysmic events that mark Earth's history and the cosmic ballet that plays out above us. Have you ever wondered about the legend of King Gilgamesh and the ancient city he ruled? Let's dive into a time machine and head back to around 2700 BCE, right into the heart of Mesopotamian civilization, during what scholars call the early dynastic period.
I would prefer to propose, and I have proposed, that what we're looking at is evidence of some kind of transfer of technology, that people came into that area who had other knowledge.
This was an era when city-states were popping up all over Mesopotamia, marking some of the earliest complex societies in human history. And right there, in the thick of it, was Gilgamesh, a name that echoes through history not just as a king but as a figure of myth and epic tales. Gilgamesh's realm was none other than Uruk, a jewel among the Sumerian city-states, nestled in the fertile lands along the Euphrates River in what we now know as modern-day Iraq.
This is a very neglected area of the world as far as deep and ancient archaeology goes.
Picture this, a bustling urban center alive with the hum of marketplaces, the grandeur of massive temple complexes, and the imposing presence of the legendary Uruk wall, said to be built by Gilgamesh himself.
It's interesting that the patterns are geometrical. Someone made it, and it involved a very large amount of organized labor in order to make it. There had to be the will and the intent in order to do that.
Uruk wasn't just any city. It was a beacon of culture, economy, and innovation, credited with many firsts in human civilization, including the invention of cuneiform writing. But what was life like under King Gilgamesh's rule? Imagine a leader who was more than just a man. He was a figure of divine significance, believed to be responsible for the welfare and prosperity of his people. Under his leadership, Uruk flourished, becoming a center for religious devotion, particularly for the worship of Inanna, a major deity in the Sumerian pantheon. Gilgamesh's Uruk was a city that represented the zenith of Sumerian engineering, architecture, and social organization, boasting a population that highlighted its status as one of the world's largest cities at the time. During his reign, Gilgamesh would have been the linchpin in the city's governance, overseeing administrative decisions, religious practices, and military campaigns to safeguard Uruk's interests. His leadership likely saw the construction of monumental projects that not only enhanced the city's splendor, but also its defenses, ensuring Uruk's prominence in the annals of ancient history.
If we're only looking for a mere reflection of ourselves, we could overlook it completely. I think we're getting very close to rediscovering some of the things that our ancient ancestors were up to.
Diving into the sands of time, the figure of King Gilgamesh stands as a fascinating blend of myth and reality, a character who has intrigued historians and archaeologists alike. While the line between the legendary and the historical is often blurred, there's a handful of archaeological breadcrumbs that lead us back to the possibility of Gilgamesh's actual existence in ancient Mesopotamian civilizations. First off, let's talk about the Sumerian king list. This isn't your average historical document. It's more like a mashup of history and mythology, listing rulers of Sumer and their reign lengths. What's cool about this list is that our guy Gilgamesh makes an appearance. His name popping up among other rulers gives us a hint that maybe, just maybe, he was a real figure who ruled, and wasn't just a character in ancient bedtime stories. The fact that there are several versions of this list, found in different places and from various times, shows that keeping track of their leaders was pretty important to the Sumerians, and that Gilgamesh was a significant part of that record. Then there are the inscriptions and artifacts. Imagine finding a tablet or a cylinder seal with Gilgamesh's name carved into it. These bits and pieces don't give us the full picture of his reign, but do suggest he was recognized as a king. These items, scattered across ancient Sumerian sites like breadcrumbs, hint at the long-lasting memory of Gilgamesh, underlining his status not just as a myth but as a cultural icon. But here's where it gets tricky. Trying to separate the man from the myth in Gilgamesh's story is like trying to untangle a finely knotted rope. The archaeological evidence we have doesn't lay out his life story or list his achievements in detail. Instead, it teases us with glimpses, leaving us wondering about the reality of his reign. This scarcity of clear-cut historical records makes Gilgamesh an enigmatic figure, shrouded in the mists of time. Despite these challenges, the evidence we do have is precious. It bridges the gap between legend and history, suggesting that Gilgamesh might have been more than just a character in an epic tale. Diving into the ancient world, let's explore one of the oldest stories ever told, the Epic of Gilgamesh. Picture this: clay tablets etched with cuneiform, the very first writing system cooked up by the ingenious Sumerians. This epic isn't just a tale, it's a journey back to the 3rd dynasty of Ur, around 2100 BCE, though its roots stretch back even further through earlier Sumerian poems about our hero Gilgamesh. The story of Gilgamesh came to light in the modern era thanks to 19th century archaeologists rummaging through the ruins of Nineveh's library. Imagine piecing together a jigsaw puzzle of ancient clay fragments, each piece a window into the epic's soul-stirring narrative. Sure, some parts are missing, lost to time, but what remains is a testament to human creativity and spirit. Now on to Gilgamesh himself. This guy was not your average ancient king. Described as 2/3 god and 1/3 human, he was a force to be reckoned with. His divine lineage gave him superhuman strength and courage, setting him leagues apart from mere mortals and even other mythical heroes. The epic's narrative is a roller coaster of adventures and quests, showcasing Gilgamesh's thirst for glory and eternal fame. Take his trek to the cedar forest to defeat Humbaba, for example. It's the stuff of legends, a clear display of his heroism. Yet it's the death of his friend Enkidu that turns his world upside down, launching him on a quest for immortality and leading him to confront the harsh truth of human mortality. Speaking of Enkidu, his friendship with Gilgamesh is nothing short of transformative. Enkidu, created by the gods from the wild to temper Gilgamesh's arrogance, ends up becoming his soulmate. Their bond is a powerful narrative force, illustrating how deep connections can foster personal growth and lead to profound realizations about life and oneself. At its core, the Epic of Gilgamesh is rich with themes that resonate deeply with the human experience. It's a tale of the relentless search for fame and the universal quest for immortality, only to find that death is an inescapable part of life. The story underscores the importance of friendship and how it shapes our journey towards understanding and accepting our humanity. In the whirlwind adventure that is the Epic of Gilgamesh, we're treated to some of the most captivating encounters between a mortal and the divine you'll find anywhere in ancient literature. Gilgamesh's quest is not just a tale of heroism and the search for eternal life, it's a deep dive into the complex dance between gods and humans in Mesopotamian culture. Take, for instance, Gilgamesh's meeting with Utnapishtim, the ancient world's version of Noah. Imagine sitting down with someone who survived a world-ending flood, all because a god gave him the heads up to build a boat. This isn't just an incredible survival story, it's a pivotal moment for Gilgamesh. He's on a quest for immortality, and here's Utnapishtim, living proof that the gods can grant such a wish. The story of the Great Flood, where the gods decide to reboot humanity but spare Utnapishtim, mirrors the power the Anunnaki wield in Mesopotamian myths, making life and death decisions over humanity's fate. Gilgamesh's journey is peppered with divine interactions that really make you think about the ancient Mesopotamian view of the cosmos. There's Enkidu, Gilgamesh's partner in crime, who was literally made by a goddess because the gods felt Gilgamesh needed to tone it down a bit. Then there's Ishtar, the goddess of love and war, who doesn't take rejection well. After Gilgamesh turns her down, she sends a celestial bull to Rakshop as payback. And let's not forget about Humbaba, the fearsome guardian of the cedar forest, appointed by the god Enlil. Gilgamesh and Enkidu's battle with Humbaba isn't just an epic fight scene, it's a narrative about human ambition clashing with divine intent. Throughout his quests, Gilgamesh keeps in touch with the sun god Shamash, who's like a divine mentor, offering guidance and support. It's fascinating to see this godly figure taking an active interest in Gilgamesh's endeavors. Even Gilgamesh's mom, Ninsun, gets in on the divine action. Though she's more of a minor goddess, her interventions on her son's behalf highlight the intimate relationship between the gods and Gilgamesh, blurring the lines between the celestial and the terrestrial. Heading back into mesmerizing world of ancient Mesopotamia, and you'll encounter the Anunnaki, a group of deities whose stories weave through the heart of Sumerian and Akkadian mythology. These mythologies, among the oldest in human history, share a fascinating pantheon of gods, with the Anunnaki holding a special place. Interestingly, over time, some Anunnaki began to be associated with celestial bodies. This transition highlights their growing significance in Mesopotamian astrology and cosmology, where the movements of stars and planets were seen as divine messages. The identification of certain Anunnaki with the Sun, Moon, and Venus, for example, lent these celestial bodies a sacred significance, connecting the dots between the heavens and the divine drama of the gods.
A desolate landscape stretches before us, a mere 185 kilometers northeast of the iconic pyramids of Giza. Here lies Tanis, a city shrouded in mystery, once a place of immense power and sacred significance. The ancient Egyptians called it Janet, the city of the sun, a holy site dedicated to Amun-Ra, the god of the sun and creation. This is what met the eyes of the first explorers in 1878, a scene of utter devastation. The soil, barren and unforgiving, supports little life save for a few resilient thorny bushes. Priceless statues bear the scars of intense heat. Gigantic stone pillars lie smashed and broken, like forgotten toys of giants. Was this city cursed, struck down by the wrath of gods, or was it simply abandoned to the ravages of time? Let's rewind the clock. Tanis, known as Janet, Zoan in the Old Testament, and today as San el Hagar, is a name whispered throughout history. Egyptologists generally agree it rose to prominence during the 21st dynasty, between 1069 and 945 BC, supplanting Thebes as Egypt's capital. But the narrative is far more complex. The discovery of massive Old Kingdom statues and artifacts within its ruins hints at a far more ancient origin, lost in the mists of time. Imagine a city dominated by an enormous temple complex dedicated to Amun-Ra, a royal palace. Bustling residential areas, all built with colossal granite pillars. These weren't just any stones. We're talking about 20 to 30-ton monoliths, painstakingly quarried, carved, and transported over 1,000 kilometers from Aswan in southern Egypt. Even with today's technology, this would be a monumental undertaking. Tanis was no vulnerable settlement. Fortifications, including massive walls and gates, were erected to defend against invaders. Picture walls, 70 feet thick, soaring 50 feet high, constructed from over 20 million mud bricks, each one potentially adorned with hieroglyphs and reliefs, a testament to the city's grandeur. Sadly, only fragments of these walls remain, eroded by millennia of wind and sand. Beyond its spiritual and political importance, Tanis has yielded some truly staggering megalithic artifacts. Our understanding of this city partially stems from Napoleon Bonaparte's 1798 expedition. He claimed 2 pink granite sphinxes, now housed in the Louvre, silent witnesses to Tanis's past. Countless other massive granite statues and artifacts have been unearthed, gracing museums worldwide, while others remain in Tanis, now an open-air museum. But perhaps the most mind-boggling discovery is a colossal foot, unearthed by the renowned Flinders Petrie in the late 1800s. Based on his meticulous scalings and comparisons to other colossi, Petrie estimated the original statue to have stood a staggering 100 feet tall. This is double the height of the colossi of Memnon. How did a civilization using seemingly primitive tools, copper chisels and wooden rollers, carve, transport, and erect a statue weighing an estimated 1,500 tons? It's a feat comparable to building the Statue of Liberty. The mind reels at the sheer scale of this undertaking. In 1939, French Egyptologist Pierre Montet made a discovery that should have rivaled Howard Carter's find in the Valley of the Kings. He uncovered the royal tomb complex at Tanis, containing 3 intact burial chambers. The treasures within were breathtaking: golden masks, bracelets, tableware, necklaces, and ornate sarcophagi, all crafted with exquisite artistry. Had it not been for the outbreak of World War II, these treasures would undoubtedly be as famous as Tutankhamun's. Even today, Montet's discoveries at Tanis are relatively unknown, overshadowed by the more publicized finds. The exact cause of Tanis's decline remains a puzzle. The conventional narrative, favored by many Egyptologists, points to a shift in political power, with cities like Sais and eventually Alexandria rising to prominence. The changing course of the Nile is another factor. As the river shifted, it likely caused flooding and erosion, rendering the area less habitable. However, let's delve deeper. If the city was simply abandoned, Wouldn't the inhabitants have taken their valuables? Why leave behind hordes of treasure? The photographs from the initial rediscovery of Tanis reveal a scene of almost biblical destruction. And perhaps there's a reason for that. Remember, Tanis is the biblical zone. In Ezekiel 30:14, the prophet foretells its doom. I will lay waste to Upper Egypt, set fire to Zoan, and inflict punishment on Thebes. Could this be a clue? Egypt's fertile lands and strategic location have made it a battleground for millennia. Alexander the Great, the Sasanian Persians, and the Crusaders all marched through this region, leaving their mark. Could fierce battles have contributed to Tanis's destruction? Earthquakes too have plagued Egypt throughout history. While they could explain some of the damage, they don't account for the scorch marks found on many artifacts. Look closely at this statue. The right side of its face shows clear signs of intense heat. Granite requires temperatures exceeding 1,200 degrees Celsius to exhibit such damage. Was this divine retribution, a lightning strike, a meteor airburst, or the result of a more earthly weapon? One intriguing possibility is Greek fire, a devastating incendiary weapon used by the Eastern Roman Empire from around 672 AD. This terrifying concoction, likely a mixture of naphtha and quicklime, could ignite upon contact with water and was projected from flame-throwing devices. Could Greek fire have been used to raise Tanis? While primarily a naval weapon, it's conceivable that Greek fire, or a similar incendiary technology, could have been adapted for land-based warfare. The destruction at Tanis, particularly the scorched stone that requires temperatures exceeding 1,200 degrees Celsius to achieve, aligns with the potential destructive power of such a weapon. While the spectre of Greek fire is certainly captivating, there's another, perhaps more grounded explanation for the intense fire damage at Tanis. We must remember that Tanis was a major religious and administrative center for centuries. It's conceivable that large-scale industrial or ritualistic activities involving intense, sustained heat took place within the city. It's important to note that this explanation doesn't necessarily contradict the others. A natural disaster, a battle, or even an attack using incendiary weapons could have triggered the initial blaze, which then escalated due to the presence of industrial or ritualistic activities, or simply because of the abundance of flammable materials within the city. This scenario, while perhaps less dramatic than divine wrath or ancient superweapons, is firmly rooted in the realities of daily life in an ancient city. It reminds us that even seemingly mundane activities, when combined with unfortunate circumstances, can have a profound and lasting impact on the historical record. The fire marks at Tanis, therefore, could be a testament not to a single catastrophic event, but to the complex interplay of human activity and the ever-present threat of fire in a world before modern fire prevention and suppression techniques. So, the sands of Tanis hold their secrets still. Was this once great city ravaged by the wrath of gods, as the ancient texts suggest? The story of Tanis is a reminder that the past is never truly gone. It lingers, buried beneath the sands, waiting to be rediscovered, reinterpreted, and perhaps to teach us lessons that resonate even in our own time.